All right. So this is the Chris Lee TV podcast. This is my first episode in a while. So if you have listened to any of my past episodes, I do appreciate you. But I'm gonna go ahead and introduce my guest. Is Brandon? I'm sorry. What's your last name, Brandon?
Last name is Thomas.
Thomas. Okay, Brandon Thomas, who is in the life insurance. He's in the insurance industry. We met through Twitter, and I wanted to get him on the show because one of the topics that I talk about on my YouTube channel is having a life insurance policy, that third party life insurance, so outside of the actual life insurance that companies give you. And I think it's important to understand why. So Brandon actually helped me get my policy. So I wanted to bring him on the show to talk about that. So Brandon, what's up, man?
What's good? What's good, brother? I'm glad that you had me on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, yeah. My name is Brandon Thomas. I'm from Austin, Texas, born and raised. Um, I got into the insurance industry probably at the tail end of 2018. I got my license through an agency, and then spring of 2019, I decided to go independent. So now I just own my own insurance brokerage. Um, so I'm licensed in here in Texas, and then four other states in in the United States. And yeah, man, I'm just trying to push it, trying to help as many people as I can. So yeah, I do. My main focus is life and health insurance. So life insurance is probably about 20% of what I can do for individuals and businesses. So, but it is, like you just said, it's a main aspect of life. So
Definitely.
for sure.
All right. So how did you get started in the industry?
I started entrepreneurship. The first thing I got into was affiliate marketing. So what I did was I signed up with this credit repair company, and it was a financial education company as well. And I started just helping people with their credit. And I was listening to a little like training that they were doing, and it was like, hey, even though we sell credit, you should focus on all aspects of personal finance.
Definitely.
So they talked about life insurance, but not like in depth of what I know it now. But what ended up happening is I was already learning about life insurance, and I happened to be talking to this girl at the time, and she was like, "Hey, you should come have this meeting with me and my mentors. I know you're into personal finance, so I think you would like it." So I was kind of hesitant, and then I was like, you know what, let me just go see what they're talking about. And that's basically where I got introduced to the insurance, industry. And like I said, I got my license through a agency. So basically, what agencies do is they basically sell certain products, but the main aspect of their company is really to recruit, as many people as they can. Um, and I really, my whole focus was I wanted to help more people versus recruiting and all that stuff.
Right.
Um, so I got trained by them, got to learn more about the insurance industry, and then it was some other insurance products that I really wanted to sell, specifically like Medicare and health insurance that the company wasn't doing. So I ended up partnering with those companies by myself, and like I said, I just wanted to go independent. I feel like all men should have, some type of ego a little bit. And I kind of wanted to see my name on stuff and, not say I was an agent with somebody else. So, um, yeah, man, that's how it happened.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel you with the independence thing. That's like the whole entrepreneurial side of Twitter. That's where we met.
Exactly.
So had you
Exactly.
not been, what I'm saying, wanting to be independent and things like that, we probably would have never crossed paths, which I'm glad that we did.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so what's your how long have you been doing this? I'm sorry if you already mentioned that, but I want to just clarify.
Well, I've been licensed since October of 2018, and then I went independent of March of 2019. So it really hasn't even been a full year
Yeah.
of me, being a independent, insurance producer. Um, but I would say, as far as just insurance goes, just learning insurance, it'll be 2 years in October. So like I said, I'm not even 2 years a full time entrepreneur.
Hmm.
I'm not even 2 years, into this industry yet. Um, but you know, I learned a lot, man. I've been doing a lot, man. So I'm just glad where it's going.
So what kind of education do you have to like kind of do the independent thing, or as far as just the insurance training? Like, is there any formal education that you go through, or is it all like through an agency? You kind of is it like they throw you in the water? You have to figure it out yourself on some things. Like, what's the education behind being a licensed insurance broker or independent licensed insurance broker?
Okay, well, I mean, to as far as getting a license, from
Mhm.
my knowledge, there's really only two ways to do it. The way I did it is you sign up with the agency, and then they basically give you the study material, and then you do have to pass like a test. The test is, I think it was like 150 questions. You have to get like a 70. Um, or some people go to college, and they get, I want to say it's like a finance degree maybe, and
Mhm.
so they might get hired by like a Edward Jones or like a Charles Schwab,
Yeah.
and what they do is, part of becoming a financial advisor is you start out getting your life health HMO license, and then you move up to other securities license. So um, I did have the chance to get like a securities license to start doing, IRAs and
Mhm.
mutual funds and stuff like that. But that's not the route that I really wanted to go. But yeah, those are only two ways. But as far as going independent, basically what you have to do is you have to get a corporate license. So you basically have to set yourself up as an agency, even though you don't have to recruit people, you can, hire instead. And I mean, it's the process of that is I mean, it's very simple. Both processes. It's like you study for a test, you take the test, but it's not. It's kind of like study on your own. Like if it could
Mhm.
take somebody 6 months to get a license. It took me like 2 weeks. So, and I mean, it's not like a lot of money that you put up front, but once you go independent, you have to start paying for like marketing and
Mhm.
content creation and all that good stuff.
So that's what you're doing now. It's kind of like your journey now is getting that all established and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. Versus like somebody that's with like an agency.
They already have it all kind of
Yeah,
established.
they kind of have everything set up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely harder. What I'm trying to do, but I mean, it'll all be worth it.
definitely.
In the long run. So
So I want to talk about kind of our me and your experience. Like I said, I met you off Twitter, and it was something that I had kind of read about in a book. I think it was called like Millionaire Before 30. And it was one of the ways to build your legacy was through life insurance. And I kind of learned life insurance and like started, I guess, doing my research and seeing that it's really like a good way to build and to keep like your legacy going. To build a legacy and to
mhm.
keep it going is to I don't see it as like a bad thing to have life insurance. Some people think it's like kind of a taboo subject to talk about.
Yeah,
How do you
that's
feel about
true.
that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't like talking about death,
Hmm.
but it's guaranteed. It's not like talking about car wrecks. Car wrecks, that's like a if.
Hmm.
Death is more of like a win because I mean it's gonna happen. So death and taxes are two things in America you could try to avoid, but it'll catch up with you, at the end of the day. And like I said, my definition of life insurance is the easiest way to pass on and create, generational wealth. For some people, all they have to do, I mean, for most people, all you're doing is paying a premium, you know, and you're just relying on that death benefit. And other people, pay higher premiums, to get cash value in their policies. Because, like I said, it's basically two ways to create wealth through a life insurance policy.
Hmm.
It is the death benefit that you get after your loved one has died, something that you receive, or a policy that you get out on your own and you invest in, you get interest on, to where you can build up enough equity to now you can use, your life insurance policy as your own bank account. Two things of which I speak on, a lot on social media, period. So yeah, I think that answered your question, right?
Yeah. So with those two policies, and you kind of talking about that, one of the things that you helped me with, like I said, you did help me with my policy, and it was really affordable, right? I know like some people don't really. like with your job, you just see kind of you just sign paperwork, right? When someone puts the paperwork in front of you when you're starting orientation with the job, you just kind of just sign. It's like a lot of stuff being thrown at you.
Yeah.
People, I feel like a lot of people don't think about how affordable life insurance might be on with an outside source instead of going with your job. Can you talk to me about kind of like how easy it is and how affordable it is to actually have a policy for like not just one person, but if you wanted to cover your family?
Well, so I mean, it would really depend on the type of policy that you get. So basically, when it comes to purchasing life insurance, you basically have, I mean, there's a lot of different types, but the four main ones would be term life insurance, whole life insurance, universal life insurance, and then final expense life insurance. So when you speak on term is very affordable because I mean it's like it's just for a term. So you can get it for 10 years, 15, 20, and 30 years. And I sell term policies to people to where they're paying, less than $30 a month. And I feel like, in 2020, I feel like a lot of people, anybody that's really watching your podcast, I feel like they can afford, less than $30 a month. I mean, it's not,
Definitely, yeah.
not,
If they're watching my channel, right?
yeah, I feel like if you're in the trucking industry, you have enough bread, to, afford a policy, but you have other life insurance policies that are a little bit more complex. But as far as affordability, that would depend on the individual. If you can save, $500 a month, like it's nothing, spending $100 a month on life insurance probably is not going, break your pockets,
Hmm.
but, if you can only save $100 a month, you probably don't want to be spending, $80 a month, on a permanent life insurance policy because
Right.
so I mean, as far as affordability goes, it's going to be, based on each individual's, whatever they got going on. And like what I like to do is just make sure I understand everybody's, financial situation, because some people are in the process of building a business. Some people already have businesses they've been building for, 5+ years. But I mean, life insurance is very, very affordable. Because I have some clients that they might start off with term, to where they're paying, $25 a month. But with a term policy, how I have, my business set up is you can convert, term insurance to, a permanent insurance. So for example, let's say, hey, I can only afford, $25 a month right now,
Right.
but 2 years from now, I see my business blowing up, right? So you can start off with a term, right? Let's say you get a 10-year term for $500,000, $25 a month. Now you can convert that later on in life to, a whole life to maybe you're paying, 150, but you have a big death benefit and now you have guaranteed, cash value that you can use, for whatever you want to, later on in life.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, it's like as far as affordability goes, life insurance is definitely affordable. But as far as what'll fit, with anybody, it will be based, on their situation.
All right. So you mentioned like the individual cost of it. How does a person's health come into like their current health? How does that come into play when deciding on which type of policy they want to get?
Okay. So I mean, when it comes to health, every company. I mean, you do have some policies. You have some policies called guaranteed issued life insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't ask any kind of medical questions. They don't do any kind of medical exams. However, those policies are more for like older people, maybe like 65 plus who never had a life insurance policy, and maybe they're not in the healthiest condition. But you can't really. I think the max death benefit on those is like 25 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So if those are really meant to just cover funerals and small debts. But if you have like a big family, I mean, 25 grand really is not going to do. That's not going to
Right.
really do nothing for them.
That's what it's going to do.
Um,
Cover the funeral,
yeah, it's not.
pretty much.
But I mean, as far as like health goes, people can be denied life insurance. Like it does happen. So basically, as far as denials go and as far as like premiums go, everything is based off of tobacco use, your height to weight ratio, and then they'll do like MIB reports, so the Medical Investigation Bureau, to where they'll actually go into your medical files to see, hey, did this person have, cancer 5 years ago, or, did they have a heart attack 2 years ago? So they'll definitely look into stuff like that. So that's why I tell people, to get life insurance as early as you can, because the younger you are, the healthier you are. Because some people, they do get denied, and you don't want to be, you know, in a like you don't want to be in an unhealthy situation, but you have a lot of people to provide for, you
Right.
know, to where you can't, you know, get accepted for a policy, or if you do get accepted, it's like a lot of restrictions. Like it's like, hey, you're accepted, but we can only, you know, give you a death benefit of 50,000, but you might have a family of four, and your mortgage is $400,000. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but for all your listeners, like I would just tell everybody to be as healthy as you can. Health is wealth, especially in this life insurance world. The bigger death benefit, because some people want like, you know, $1 million policies. So the bigger your death benefit, and then the more complex your insurance policy, the serious they're going to be about health.
Yeah.
Um, so I would just, you know, anybody listening, just make sure you're as healthy as you can, man. Exercise. I'm not saying you got to go vegan or nothing like that, but you know, you do want to be as healthy as you can when it comes to you know, thinking about, you know, shopping for life insurance. So
Right on. Right on. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. We try to stay as healthy as possible. I want to get into more health conscious stuff on my channel. I talk about like some of the going vegan and doing all the plant based stuff over the road, but it's a journey. It's not the easiest thing. You really got to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what works with your body. Some people do it and it doesn't work, but there's still like a lot of options out there over the road. You just really have to like dial down onto like your strategy of, I guess,
exactly.
being healthy over the road, but it is definitely doable. So, all right. So you talked about the term, the whole, universal, and the final expense policies. Can you give me like a little bit more detail on? I think you talked about the term a little bit, and
Yeah,
then
talking about term, I didn't really get into the other ones.
yeah, just a little like little description of like, you know what I'm saying, whole, universal, and then the final expense. Can you give us some
Okay,
information on that?
so like I said about term, term is basically it is what it sounds like. So your life insurance is for a certain like year term. So it could be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Hmm.
And basically with those, some policies they don't have renewed like guarantee renewability. So for policies that I sell, if you got a 10-year term, every 10 years, you know, your policy will renew. You don't have to get another medical exam. You don't have to answer any kind of medical questions.
Okay.
It'll just automatically renew. Now, a con about some term policies is, you know, let's say you get, you know, let's say you're 25, you get a 30-year term, and it's not, you know, guaranteed renewability. So now at age 55, you have to go through the whole process again, right? So let's
Mhm.
say, you know, within that 30-year term, you've had, you know, heart disease or cancer, or maybe you're overweight, right? So what they can do is they can deny you, you know, on your life insurance, you know, so now, you know, you're, you know, SOL, you know. So
Right.
that's a con about term. And I would always just tell people that if you're shopping for a term policy, make sure that that policy has guaranteed renewability,
Mm.
and also make sure you can convert it, you know, to a permanent policy. So that's something else that's a pro about term. And then, like I also said earlier, it's very affordable. Yeah, so that's term. So when it comes to whole life, so whole life is a permanent policy. So you'll be locked into a premium, you know, for as long as you have the policy, as long as you pay it. And those policies are a little bit more expensive than term is. But when it comes to the cash value on those policies, the cash value is guaranteed. And I don't think I broke down what cash value is. So cash value
Yeah.
is basically a it's an account that's tied to your life insurance policy. Every time that you're paying your premium, some of that money is going into an account that's going to earn interest. So for whole life, that interest is guaranteed. But a con about that being guaranteed is, you know, you're only going to get, you know, maybe like 2, 3, or maybe even 4% on your money, which for some people, you know, that's okay. For some people, that's, you know, that's too low of interest, you know.
Right.
But with whole life, like I said, the values are guaranteed. So, you know, if you're talking to a broker like myself and you're like, hey, I'm interested in whole life, I basically will bring up an illustration. It'll show you, you know, how much it is a month, and it'll show you, you know, hey, at age 40, you know, you'll have X amount of dollars in this account. Age 60, you'll have X amount of dollars, you know, and those will be the exact numbers. And now you have universal life. So universal life, you basically have two big policies of universal life. Regular universal life is basically, it's a mix of term and permanent. So basically, universal life is a permanent policy, but it doesn't have like a lot of cash value. I mean, although you might be able to withdraw from it, the main focus of that policy is not for cash value interest. It's just to have a long life policy. And those are like, they're not as cheap as terms, but they're not as expensive as, a whole life, or the next policy that I'll talk about. So like I say, it kind of acts as a term, except for it'll last you, the lifetime, over
Right.
your lifetime, as long as the premiums are paid. But like I said, those policies, if you're trying to get for like some cash value, that's not kind of policy that you really want to get. And then you have another type of universal life policy. It's actually called index universal life.
Mm-hmm.
So what that is, it's kind of like whole life, so you'll have the cash value. It is more expensive than term. But with that, you have the opportunity to earn more interest in your account. So with indexed, they basically your interest is based off of like a market index. So a lot of people heard of like the S&P 500,
Yep.
which basically measures the top 500 companies in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever interest it gets at the end of the year, a company might give you up to like 11%, or they might give you like a floor of like 1%. So basically, if the S&P 500 did 15%, you would earn 11% on your account. And if the S&P 500 did like negative 15, you would still get 1% because you have a market and a floor. So IULs, or index universal life, those are policies for people that want the opportunity to earn more interest, and they are focused on building cash value, so they can actually turn that equity into their own bank later on in life. And then also with IULs, or index universal life, you have the opportunity to change your premiums. So you have a minimum and a maximum, and every month you can pay between those two numbers. So your minimum might be like $60, but your max might be 200. And of course, the more that you put into your policy, the faster it's going to grow. So yeah, that's IULs. And I mean, IULs, I'm a big fan of term, and I'm a big fan of IUL.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I'm just a big fan of having insurance. But I mean, everybody's different, So like I said, if I'm meeting somebody who might be in college or something, and they have two kids, but they feel like whenever they graduate they'll be making 70K, and they only make 30K right now, and I'm like, hey dude, get you a term to where you're paying $20 a month. 2 years from down the line, you can convert that into a bigger policy, to where you get your cash value started. And then you got some people that are like, hey, I want a permanent policy, but I want this guaranteed interest. I don't care if it's only 2%. I just want it to be guaranteed. And I'll
Right.
be like, okay, hey, you probably want to get whole life. And then you got some people that are like, hey, I like, that I can earn, up to 15 or, 10% in this IUL. Let me just put my money here. And then I also like the fact that, my premiums they're not set. So, you could pay the minimum on an IUL. Let's say you just started a business and you can only afford to pay $60 a month for your IUL. But 2 years later, you can afford to pay $200 a month. That's something that you can do with the IUL because you have flexibility. So, I mean, like I said, it's all about what the consumer's needs are.
Got it.
And then final expense insurance is basically you're just trying to cover a funeral and like a small debt. So I think the max face benefit on those is like 50 grand.
Okay.
Um, so people get those.
Is that
Those are
easy?
more for like older
Is that
people.
easy to get those final expenses, like it with the like what you were saying with like the health and stuff, the guaranteed issue with no medical questions like
Um,
that? Is that something a final expense might come in beneficial for, or is this
well, all guaranteed issued policies are final expense,
okay?
but not all final expense policies are issued guaranteed.
Yeah.
So although with final expense you don't have to take a medical exam, some might ask you like health questions.
Mhm.
And if you answer no to one of those questions, it might not necessarily deny you, but they might do something called a return of premium policy for like the first 2 years. So basically, let's say you're 67 years old, and you had like a bad case of heart disease, right? So let's say you just want a $20,000 policy to cover your funeral. So they'll accept you, but they might say, hey, for these first 2 years, we're only going to pay out a return of premium. So basically, if that person died within that first 2 years, they wouldn't get that that 20 grand. They would only get the premiums that they paid. Let's say they only paid, over the 2 years, they only paid, $400 for their premiums, right? So they would just get that money back. So some policies are some of those final expense policies are set up. It does depend on health.
Wow.
But guaranteed issued, those are a little bit more expensive because, like I said, they don't ask any kind of medical questions or anything like that.
Yeah.
So for people that have been denied, I don't think anybody in the trucking industry will probably go through this because I'm pretty sure everybody's probably like in the 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. But this will be more for people that are, either on their deathbed or people that are, over the age of 65 that they will probably get denied a term because the company might not trust that they'll live over the length of the term. And then they don't want to pay all that money for a whole life because it doesn't make sense to pay for a whole life policy at the age of 65. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So those are what final expense policies are for.
Okay. And I got a couple more questions and I'm gonna let you go. I know you have a pretty busy schedule. So with the foundation of building wealth, using life insurance as one of those pillars in the foundation, right? What are some other things? I know you spoke on credit, but what are some things that you utilize kind of for your foundation of wealth? And including insurance and credit.
Definitely, man. The biggest one would be debt management and emergency funds.
Okay.
I think emergency funds. I talk a lot about life insurance. On Twitter. Because that's my lane. But emergency funds are. I think that's one of the most slept on aspects of personal finance. Because when you have that cushion, like anytime stuff comes up, you don't get worried about it. So it's like, let's say you have just $2,000 just saved away, right?
Yep.
And you wake up one morning and somebody has slashed all your tires in your car. You really wouldn't trip because it's like, okay, that's probably gonna cost me maybe like $500 to replace all these tires, but I already had this this money already set aside, so it's cool.
Yes, sir.
So for me personally, emergency funds have made life very, very easy, man. Because I have, especially as a business owner, you have expenses pop up out of nowhere that you'd be like, man, what? So that stuff, bro. And it's times where I've woke up in my own complex and my car's been towed. So
Man.
it's like it's crazy. So, like I said, that and then debt management, just making sure that your debt is handled, that it's a priority, and then avoid consumer debt at all cost. But yeah, those are two things. And then another thing that I have, especially with the trucking industry, because those guys, you guys make good money.
Supposedly.
People, you said what?
I said supposedly.
Well, no, that's what they say. They say that y'all come out there making that bread. But for the guys that are single, because I'm single, I don't have any kids.
Right.
So one personal finance rule that I live by is that as long as I am a single man with no spouse, no kids, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to live off of less than 50% of what I make every month. So that's a rule that I have. So if you guys are making, $5,000 a month, you should not be living off more than $2,500 a month,
Right. That lifestyle inflation.
You said what?
The lifestyle inflation.
Exactly, yeah. Because think about it. If you making $5,000 a month, you spend $2,500, rent, gas, light bill, phone bill, all that stuff. And you still have $2,500 to, invest, every month,
Exactly.
So I don't know what the math is. $2,500 a month times 12. I don't know what the math. I think that's like $25,000 or something like that. So, but that's the rule that I live off of. But of course, if you have a wife and kids,
spoke about having a child, how you're, how you don't have a kid, but I do have a kid. You helped me get a policy for my kid, and that was a big topic on Twitter this week. Was should you get a life insurance policy on your child? And one of the things I that someone said in the comments to that was death does not discriminate.
Exactly.
How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, like you just said, nobody is exempt from death. Like I said, nobody wants to talk about like they children die. Nobody wants to think about that,
Hmm.
But it's still, like I said, children's life insurance is cheap. I think you pay what, $20 a month?
I don't even check. I promise you, like, once the policy was set for my wife and me and the kid, I wrote all of my expenses down and what they take out. But if I have to go look at everything, like I write everything down so I can kind of think about other things. But I
Okay.
think it is $20 though.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was $20, but there's only $20 because I think you bought the biggest face amount.
Hmm.
Um, but for some, like I sold a policy the other day and it was like $4 a month.
Wow.
So it's cheap. But the two reasons why people should have it on their children is because you don't want something to happen to your child, and you know you get on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, and now you're begging for $15,000
Yeah.
on GoFundMe,
Exactly.
because a child's funeral is going to cost the same amount as an adult's funeral. It's going to be about 15 grand. Well, I know it is in Texas, so I would imagine it'll be like around that area, you know, for all 50 states. And then along with the death being protected, your child, if you get a permanent policy on your child, they're already they already have a head start with building their cash value. So you got some
Right.
people that start their cash value at age I don't know, 25, but this child has started his at age 7.
Hmm.
So now he has 11 years till he turns 18, and then now he can convert that policy, no matter what his health is, because it'll be guaranteed convertible. um, he could either add money to it. He could put it in his name to where he's paying for it. The parents can continue to pay for it.
Yep.
Um, it's a lot of different things that you can do. But yeah, like I said, like you said, dude. Like I said, nobody wants to talk about death, but it happens. Matter of fact, a girl that I went to high school with, she just passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
Um, I think this was right before. It was right before Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And she got in a bad car wreck, and she didn't have a policy, and I think they were there. I think her GoFundMe, they wanted, like, it was either 12 grand or 15 grand. I mean, they got it though.
Hmm.
But I mean, everybody is not gonna be as
Generous.
sympathetic
Yeah. Right.
to your situation, because I've seen people post GoFundMe's for a funeral or something other sad, and it's like their goal is like so many thousands, and they don't have anywhere close to that. I'm
Hmm.
just like, dang, like every time I see a GoFundMe on Twitter or anywhere and it's about a funeral, I always say in my mind, like, dang, $30 a month would have not even had you right here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, but I mean, that's why I speak every day on it, and it's not even so much, of course I get compensated, but I don't get compensated as close as somebody else would, inheriting, a death benefit. And then also having that, safety from financial distress, because you're already gonna get the emotional distress, whenever you have a loved one pass away. So
Definitely.
um yeah.
I like. I know it's kind of the conversation went. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about life insurance, so it does go there. Like life insurance, you get life insurance for when people pass away. But I want to take it back to the life insurance for children and like to people with children. You said that I got the highest. What was the term you said? I got the highest.
You got the highest death benefit.
Had-
I'm pretty sure you did. I don't remember.
okay.
But I'm pretty sure that you did though.
So okay. So the reason I got life insurance for my kid, like you said, it was because I could pass it down. I could pass it and put it in his name, and it could start. You know what I'm saying? He could pay for it when he comes of age, and then there are things that he can use that life insurance policy to do because of the certain type of policy he has. Besides it covering anything that we can't foresee, right?
Exactly.
So I would just wanted to put that in there. I'm not trying to, that's kind of weird to think about, but there are different policies that you can put in place to where if something does happen, okay, you have that type of cushion. It's just like different levels. Like, so this is the bottom level we don't want to go to with like whatever with death.
Mhm.
But with life insurance policy, there are things that, you know what I'm saying, these different policies, index universal, regular and universal, whole life, final expenses, is different things that these policies kind of entail.
Mhm.
So with my son's policy, I wanted that so that he could have something. So with some of these policies, you can take out, like, I think that's the cash value part of it, isn't
That's
it?
cash value, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if his is cash value. I don't have any of the paperwork in front of me.
I mean, his is, but it's like, I mean, since I mean his cost is only $20 a month, so I mean it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be like the one that you have. You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, he'll definitely have a little head start though.
Exactly. So we have savings accounts for him. We have investing accounts for him. This is just another investment account for him in my eyes. I don't, you know what I'm saying? The other stuff I don't really try to look at. Yes, it's a benefit in many ways, but to me, it's just another investment account for him to help him, you know what I'm saying, build whatever he wants to build when he, you know what I'm saying, gets older. So, but I want to go ahead and wrap this up. Is there any last words you want to say about life insurance policies or anything that you're doing? Go ahead and plug any of your stuff, your website, your Twitter, anything that you have coming up. Just, you know what I'm saying, the floor is yours.
One last thing I do want to say about life insurance before I, plug myself in and all that stuff,
Hmm.
is that a lot of life insurance policies have something called riders or additional benefits,
Hmm.
specifically accelerated death benefits. So a lot of people, talk down about life insurance, and a lot of people don't buy it. I mean, it's ignorantly because they're like, well, man, I can't even use it while I'm alive.
Yeah.
Specifically term. A lot of people say, oh, well, I wouldn't buy a term because, there's no benefits of it. And that's wrong. So basically, when I'm talking about an accelerated death benefit rider or benefit, basically, if you get a certain type of disease, God forbid, you get a cancer or a stroke or something of that nature, Alzheimer's, something of that nature, you can actually take the money out of your death benefit to cover, your care services. So let's say, somebody has cancer, right? And it's going to cost $50,000, for the chemo and all that, whatever comes with that, right? They can take that 50 grand, you know, to pay for that, or, take out however much it is to cover their, medical insurance deductible, so that the health insurance can cover like the rest of it, So there's a lot of different ways to use life insurance, while you're alive. There's a lot of living benefits that come with it. So that's something I definitely wanted to speak on. But I mean, as far as my social medias, my Twitter and my Instagram are the same. So my name on there is BT, as in Brandon Thomas. So it's BT Insurance CEO, and that's me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm on Facebook too, but my name is so generic. If you type in my name, a lot of other people's name will
Yeah.
come up. So my name is Brandon Thomas, but if you want to type in Austin, Texas, I'm a black dude. I got long hair in my bio. I think that's pretty much.
I have on the screen, I don't know if you can see the screen, but I have me on there, and then I have a picture of you. And I think that is your main picture on all of your socials.
Is it a picture with a green shirt?
No, this is white shirt, red tie, polka dot tie.
Okay, yeah. So that is my. I don't know if that's my Twitter. I think that's my Instagram and my Facebook.
Hmm.
Photo. But yeah, I drop a lot of gems, about, I mean, life insurance, of course, and then of course, other type of insurances that I feel like entrepreneurs and business owners should have. But if anybody just wants to follow me on social media, I can get, all those
Yeah,
questions answered.
I'll definitely tag and put your information in the bio, in the
Oh yeah, for
show
sure,
notes or whatever that we get in here.
for
But
sure,
yeah,
for
I
sure.
want to thank you for coming on and talking about, you know what I'm saying, the taboo subject. I know it was like big on Twitter last week or this week. And I just wanted to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, that you could get out and kind of clear some things up. So thank you for coming on my podcast.
Yes, sir. I thank you for having me. Thank you for being a client of mine, supporting me, as a
Yeah.
young entrepreneur. And then, thank you for bringing me on the podcast as well, dude. I like what you're doing. I have a few buddies that live in Austin that are, trying to get into I think one's already in the trucking industry,
Yeah.
but, a lot of people are looking at those routes, trying to, figure out, a active lane to get into before they start,
Mhm.
investing, passively and stuff like that. I told them that, trucking is a great industry to be in. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So a lot of sacrifices you got to make though.
Definitely.
As long as you're ready, you willing to sacrifice. I mean, everything that you want in life, as long as you want to get better, it has to come with some kind of sacrifice. So that's just
Yep.
how it goes.
Yes, sir. But everybody, Brandon Thomas, BT Insurance CEO on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the podcast. It's Chris Lee TV and Brandon Thomas. Deuces.
Peace. Appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir.